have to segment to the extent possible that you have the resource to do. I've been at companies that were organized vertically. And so you went to market vertically, or they were organized by small, medium, large business, enterprise, mid-market, SMB, whatever you want to call it, organized by region. So you can of complexity. I was at a company that at one point had 7 business units, and I went to the CEO and actually said, "Look, I can try to support 7 business units, but why don't we try to segment into 3 market segments?" And he said, "Oh yes, that would make us twice as efficient." So because each of these units were acquired, it was a roll up, and each of these units had to serve some customer segments. They were overlapping, so that was a real efficiency gain because I knew I wasn't going to, I had like 40 folks in marketing. I wasn't going to get another, 40 more,
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the brand new episode of MetricMinds. Our today's discussion is towards the success strategies deployed by leading global CMOs across the world. I'm your host, Anand, and today we have a remarkable guest with us, Grant Johnson. Grant is an industry veteran when it comes to marketing tech products. He has been part of multiple marketing leadership teams at startups which got acquired by Samsung, Microsoft, IBM, and BlackBerry. Currently, he is the CMO of BillTrust, a B2B order to cash software. He has also founded CMO Collaborative, a forum of CMOs to connect, collaborate, and support each other. It's amazing to have you here, Grant. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, I'm happy to be here and talk with you today.
Great, Grant. Grant, you have been part of multiple marketing leadership teams with multiple startups. Uh, and a lot of our viewers are being CMOs. They would love to hear about the initial part of the journey when you're just stepping into a marketing leadership role. How do you access the marketing company's marketing current capabilities? How do you define, design, access the current marketing landscape when it comes to people, systems, product, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually start the assessment during a discussion with any prospective employer. One of the key things is to really understand what the expectations are for marketing. As you may know, I write a regular blog that's called CMOmentor.com, CMO Mentor. And I'm about to write one by the time this is shared about what is marketing. And it does seem like a broad topic, I'm sure. But really, the point is to understand what is expected of marketing, what resources do you have, human and financial. In other words, what is your budget in order to drive pipeline and other marketing objectives to realization? And then to talk with the CEO, the other executives, your team, if you can, talk to a few of the players. Sometimes it's possible to meet some people ahead of time. I've had that happen almost every place, and I think it's great that they know me a little bit. I get to know them a little bit. As you start that relationship, board, investors, whatever's appropriate for a CMO. But then I really start diving into starting with what I would call full spectrum analysis. And so that's really, as you were saying, Not, it's about the what sort of tech stack do they have? Is it a modern tech stack? At BillTrust, there was no chat tool, and just gosh, given our web traffic and the fact that we do serve mid market, we don't serve SMB. I've done consumer to B2C to B2B, but you still have a considered purchase. You still have the folks that are further along the buyer's journey, and they might want to talk to sales. And why shouldn't you be quick to respond? We didn't have a modern ABM intent tool, some other things like that. And so again, you're assessing the tech stack, you're assessing the staff, and it's a really simple process. It's okay. I'm going to give away a secret. It's not as hard as some people think. I just literally asked the team, say, tell me about your objectives last quarter and this quarter and how you're doing against those objectives. And so I understand how metrics driven they are, right? Is it kind of like we do a lot of stuff, or we're going to deliver 10.4 million in pipeline in the first 8 weeks. And here are the 7 tactics in integrated fashion that we're measuring precisely to determine if we're, succeeding or falling short. And then talk to me about like some of the obstacles you face and, some of the ideas you have or opportunities that we haven't pursued. And it's amazing. It's like a 1 hour conversation. Let's say I've got 6 or 7 direct reports, and I can kind of tell sort of whether they're engaged, they're switched on, they're excited. others just exhausted, because for whatever reason, their journey at that company is maybe towards the latter half. It's the last half of a global football game for your audiences that know the true football with your foot, not your arm. So yeah, that's the process I do. And then of course you have to form strategic working relationships. I actually have a couple blogs, first 90 days and next 90 days. So I'll just give you the highlights here. And then you set your course, like what are we going to accomplish by quarter for the year, and you tie off with the other stakeholders, certainly the CEO, it may be the board, and your head of sales, critical head of product, as you said, a technology that you have to partner with to make sure that everything's up and operational to 5 nines, whatever it might be. So that's sort of the process. Getting, and then of course the last thing, and everybody knows this one, but it's also worth repeating. You got to find some low-hanging fruit, early wins. Like they hired you, and there's got to be something that's sort of obvious that you can get done in 90 days. Like something's going to take 6 months or longer, right? But like get a couple quick wins, and then think, man, we really hired the right, man, woman, right, for this job.
Understood. Does Quick Win also help in building the confidence with the CEOs, CFOs, and other leadership as well? Right?
Yeah, it does. And I think we have this thing here. We've got a really rapid cadence, what we call our go-to-market engine B2. Just a great name we call it, right? I've been here my second year. A lot of the head of sales started a little bit after me. We're like in our second full year. And so like, how do we take this thing? How do we rev it faster, rev it higher, get more efficiency and effectiveness collectively? Because, sales marketing has to be one team. And so we're trying to develop insights and hypotheses. Like if you just sit there and wait for things to happen, they may not always be the things you want happening. So like, let's test this, let's try that. And so we're finding that this year, we're almost, again, it's almost the 1st of April. And as we're recording this. And so, a quarter into the year. And so we've learned a few things, and we're going to try some more things.
Great. Understood. Uh, Grant, you talked about your blog, and I was just going through it, and there you have mentioned a targeted 15:1 program ROI. By the looks of it, it looked really, really interesting, and it was a very, very insightful blog. I would love for you to talk to our audience about that 15:1 program, especially during these ages where actually getting a substantial ROI out of your marketing budget is always a constant chase, with customer behavior changing, with tech stack constantly changing, with different products and competition coming into the market constantly. This is something which really caught my eye, and would love you to talk about it to our audiences.
Yeah, there's a lot. I appreciate the question. There's a lot of key elements to kind of getting there, right? And so let's sort of decompose it for a minute. Think about like in marketing. Now, as a 5-time CMO, I've learned this the hard way. You're never there. You're always having to prove the value of marketing. Part of it's how you communicate. Part of it is, as I said, setting expectations. Part of it's just delivering results, right? And so early in my career, I remember 5-1 was the goal, and then over time, 10-1 was the goal. I actually didn't expect that we could necessarily achieve, 15-1. Obviously, we'd come out of COVID when I joined January of 2023, a little over a year ago. But what we did is we looked at overall ROI. Marketing has to be a revenue contributor. Some, key parts of marketing that used to be called demand gen are now called revenue marketing. It doesn't matter what you call it. It matters what is performance marketing, what it's able to do, right? And so if you include all our headcount, all our technology, that I can't share, but it's multiples to 1, right? So it pays for itself. It's a net contributor to revenue and profitability. Now, on the program side, that's really looking at your program dollar. So let's say you have a 50-50. So we'll just use simple math. It's $1 million. You need to be able to create multiple of that in pipeline. And then depending on your funnel efficiency, let's say you close 1 out of 4 deals. And so, if marketing is get to 15-1, that's a pipeline number. And if you close 1 out of 4 deals, you're going to still be almost like 4-1, over 3-1 ROI on closed 1 business. So the 15-1, just to clarify, that's for pipeline dollars, because we all have to create a multiple pipeline, even with the best sales force. So those are kind of key factors. But probably 2 other things that are important in getting there is, as you say, there's a lot of different tactics, inbound marketing, outbound marketing, the ability to convert leads through a efficient process I say fresh is best, faster is better. Somebody talks to a prospect on the website, qualifies them, sales decides whether to accept it or not to a qualified opportunity. You have a really good, engagement plan. You've got a mutual success approach or sequence of events, whatever you call your sales process, and you get through your 3, 4, 5 stages, and you get enough closed one beyond, should at least win 25%. That's, industry best, maybe 50 if you're the market dominant. And that's the last thing. What's the demand for your product? Like if you're in an area that you're trying to create a category, or you're up against, like, my last company I was in Burst, we were up against Concur, it's part of SAP. You're up against an 800-pound gorilla. You're not going to be as efficient as them. You don't have the same ability to, market to your install base. So it takes a lot of components. But at the end of the day, we found that we could deliver consistently 15 to 1. And so I've set that as, can we go to 16 to 1 or 17 this year? You always have to set a higher goal. And nobody's satisfied with just maintaining the status quo.
I understood. And to me, 15:1 itself has to be a gold standard, but it would be amazing to read about 20:1 maybe another quarter's time. You talked about different demand gen engines, different customer segments, product demand, right, Grant? And we all understand that it goes through a particular funnel, right? I would love to ask you, what's the importance of tracking funnel metrics by customer segments and cohorts, in short, right? How do you do it? And, what are the best ways, or what are the few roadblocks or primary things which a lot of people do wrong, right? If you can talk about that.
Yeah, well, I think first of all, you hit the key thing. You have to segment to the extent possible that you have the resource to do. I've been at companies that were organized vertically. And so you went to market vertically, or they were organized by small, medium, large business, enterprise, mid-market, SMB, whatever you want to call it, organized by region. So you have of complexity. I was at a company that at one point had 7 business units, and I went to the CEO and actually said, look, I can try to support 7 business units, but why don't we try to segment into 3 market segments? And he said, oh, yes, that would make us twice as efficient. So because each of these units were acquired, it was a roll up, and each of these units had to serve some customer segments. They were overlapping. So that was a real efficiency gain, because I knew I had like 40 folks in marketing. I wasn't going to get another, 40 more, So we had to figure that out, and it was a win-win. We figured that out. But the other thing is like tracking as much as you can. We use Power BI. And again, there's lots of data presentation, Tableau. There's lots of companies out there that can do that, just the one that we've adopted. And so I'm looking at it right now to my left. You can't see it, but I've got what I call sales and market insights. And, we track pipeline health overall. We track our ICP and what percentages is what we have enough historical as a 20-year-old business to know where we can win more likely and faster at a higher value. Those are all key elements. All deals are not created equal. All segments are not created equal, right? And then we look at revenue band, and we look at, the sales. And we happen to have 5 sales groups. And so we like to get, a multiple coverage, 3, 4 to 1 for every group. But sometimes you'll find that certain segments are harder to get, the level of engagement, the level of decision progress to get to that. So you have to put a little extra effort in those segments. And again, if you were just kind of, shotgun marketing, there's no way you can see. The more you can be focused on a segment, on a cohort, and then just learn, like, how do I get better at that one? The other thing that I've done is, work with collaboratively with the head of sales, the CRO, for example, and say, like, where do you see the best chance? Where do you see the best growth? You could have a variation of partner support or sales maturity and experience by segment. So you're going to a new segment that may be harder. So you have to balance your investments to support your overall objectives by segment. But that's kind of how I do it, and just track as much as you can, and that helps you get a pulse on, like, what's performing the best, and where you maybe could take the foot off the gas and put more gas elsewhere. So to get an overall balanced portfolio, balanced, pipeline generation, support all sales teams.
Understood. Understood. And since you talked about the Power BI and the dashboards and tracking those funnel metrics, Grant, what makes an ideal CMO dashboard, and how do you determine which marketing metrics team should focus on, which marketing metrics at different points in time, what you would be focusing on, and how does this vary by company size or industry if it does? Uh, uh, I have a follow-up question to that.
Sure.
Is how do you determine leading and lagging metrics? Because mostly in B2B, the funnel, the velocity of the funnel is a little slower than
Yeah.
B2C. So how do you manage that? How do you keep tracking leading and lagging metrics to ensure that you're going in the right direction?
Yeah, those are two great questions. Let's start with the first one. I started this journey again when I was first CMO over a decade ago, and there was a company called Serious Decisions, now called Forrester Decisions, and they were one of the innovators to figure out what is a CMO dashboard. And I would customize these things over time. I'd try to fit them into like a PowerPoint chart, and I came to the conclusion it never fits on one page. So I stopped trying to do that. Now I have all these dynamic dashboards, and I can't say to your audience, you're right. It depends on the company size, the maturity, the segments you're facing. But I can give you some of the things that I look at tracking. Certainly anything to do with the pipeline's got to be in there. You've got to know you're growing the pipeline, or you're converting the pipeline. We have this SLA between sales and marketing that you have to transition from stage to stage in 30 days or less, because we know that if we don't do that, the probability that it'll go from a marketing qualified lead to sales accepted lead or opportunity is going to diminish. And so that's something we look at. We look at that, and then we also look at close won percentage by segment. Say, well, gosh, this particular vertical is really, even outside of the ICP, they're doing well. So why is that? How can we repeat that elsewhere? So those are part of the dashboard, but certainly you have to look at other dimensions in the business. You're again, I'm in SaaS, and so gross retention is important. You want to be over 90%. Net retention includes the new revenue, upsells, cross sells you do. You want to be 110. You want to be over that. So you look at those. You look at if you're measuring CSAT, whatever format you use. We'll measure it through our customer engagement platform. NPS, you need to look at that. Also look at your customer artifacts. One of the things that people underestimate is, what does it take to get a customer happy? What does it take to be willing to talk about it, right? And it takes always a lot. It takes a lot. It's a lot more effort. We've got our customer conference, Insight, coming up here in Phoenix in North America in April, later in April, and we have a number of customers willing to do video testimonials. So those are powerful. People, we do have, a lot of content, white papers, ebooks, and early in the funnel, people read those. But as they're getting near like decision later stages, like they want to just read the testimony or see the video, say, well, just like me, this person, they got, we call it business value. They realized great ROI, tremendous business value, got faster time to value, which is a critical measure these days for all CFOs, especially in our market. So those are key things. You might look at your channels, depending if you go to market through channels, how much are they contributing, how efficient is one channel versus another channel. We look at revenue band, like how are we winning, because we want to go up market more from mid to enterprise. And so if it's above 100 million or above 250 million, we also look at target account efficiencies. We have a named account process, and like if a customer comes to our website, since we have very efficient inbound, and they fit the criteria of ICP, they're not a target account, but they're they're a lookalike. Certainly, we want to take that business. But those are sort of the dimensions that I'm looking at now. As far as leading and lagging, the web is a pretty good indicator for a lot of that. It's the lagging might be your NPS and other things, because by the time it goes down, you've already customers are already mad at you, or they defected, or they've soft churned, they've reduced the amount they commit to you on an annual basis. But to me, the web's great leading one, and I call it web vitality. I look at all the key dimensions, like if our bounce rate's going down, time on site's going up, number of downloads are going up, right? Where they're exiting, where they're entering, conversions when they share information, that's what we call conversions. And I look at those because those say, look, we're gaining market momentum. But the other things like share of voice, that's another key one. PR, that's another. Like generally somebody reads a press article, they don't hit the buy button in B2B, right? or your analyst relations. If you get a nice placement in an analyst ranking, then that's going to be again leading. But
Yeah.
by the time some of these things happen, you got to track both the leading and lagging indicators, because together they give you a picture of whether I'd say you're gaining market traction, you're
Yeah.
holding steady, which is maybe not a bad thing, or you're losing, which is a bad thing. So that's hopefully that addresses those two questions.
Great, Grant, and I'm pretty sure that I love the part wherein kind of you made it very very simple with respect to how exactly and what exactly to look and how to design the CMO dashboard. I'm sure a
Mm-hmm.
lot of audience of our audience would be able to kind of now be able to visualize what the ideal CMO dashboard should look like. Uh, Grant, at the start of the podcast, you talked about how before starting into a particular role, you talk to different people, right? Gives you an understanding, gives you the understanding of them and them the understanding of you. And marketing now, especially now, right, has become one part of a very big cog, right? So as a marketing leader, you're constantly in touch with the chief product officer, product teams, the tech team, because a lot of marketing is through tech stack now, of course data analytics, CFO, majorly because it's ROI is the kind of metric. CEO, of course, you usually report to them, right? Uh, Now, in this whole game, right? In this whole game, as a CMO, how do you approach, what we call a stakeholder alignment, right? What are the few strategies or leave alone strategies, right? What has worked for you specifically? Because in more and more in more and more cases, right, wherever we are meeting CMOs, right, that has been a constant. Uh, I would say limitation what they face, right? Being CMO is not only about marketing anymore; it's more about revenue and kind of managing all the stakeholders as well.
Yeah, no, I see this head of marketing. My view has been, or the CMO is that you're the orchestrator, you're the conductor. You've got to make all the parts of the organization work harmoniously. And I think if we meet as an executive team at Build Trust every couple months in person. We are a virtual first company, but we have all these places where we used to have offices, right? People go into. So you gather the people around for a get together where you're in town meeting as an executive team. So it helps you stay in touch with, the various folks. And that's great. And then, I just sort of one by one try to build that bridge, that relationship. Maybe I found out, like one of the executives likes fine quality wine as I do. So we'll have a glass of wine together. Another
Mhm.
executive, want to have breakfast together, or go for a run together. I mean, that's how I've gotten to know a lot of CEOs, on a personal level. I think that helps you. You're going to be in favor and out of favor. I don't, it's like the sales thing is what have you done for your life? The same thing with marketing. It's not a lot different. Like, okay, great quarter. All right, what are we going to do this quarter and next quarter? And how's the pipeline look 2 quarters out? So I think, work on those relationships in the best ways you can. You need to, figure out the language. I've had discussions with our CFO and other CFOs about, this program ROI and showing them that we have a positive return. And, they say they're interested. Well, look, tell me about each tactic and what the ROI of each tactic is. Well, it's not really, we're not doing transactional business like a Dell website, right? But I can show you the certain tactics and we track program ROI. Certain tactics perform more. Like, for example, webinars are great, but you can't just do a webinar every day. You've got to build the audience. You've got to have content. You might want to have a speaker. So yeah, they have great ROI, but content marketing does pretty well for us, and believe it or not, because we have a database, email marketing, if you have the right message, the right offer, the right value prop, you can get some return on that, and it's pretty low cost, right? Events tend to be harder to get ROI, but so we track all these things and build that relationship. Same with the product, we sort of a shared view about, like, we own the understanding of what the market needs, customer needs, between product marketing and product management. So the CTO owns product management. I own product marketing. By the way, for CMOs out there, if somebody doesn't provide product marketing, say marketing's in the title. It should report to marketing. Just another sidebar for you. Got to have all marketing. And so that's how I do it. Person by person on a human level. You find out some mutual interest you have, and then you can build that relationship. Get to want to know that person on a personal level. It's going to help you, for build trust and have a better relationship over time.
Great, great, Grant. Grant, uh, very recently, right, in last couple of years, the technology itself has changed, especially with the advent of tools like ChatGPT, right? I would love to hear your views on, how do you see technology? First, of course, how can you leverage the new technology changes to ensure a better ROI, better scale for marketing? And what are the few future trends which you are really, really excited about?
Well, I mean, I will say that fortunately, right around 2010, when I first started becoming a full stack CMO, I had a peer group with the former CMO of Eloqua, former CMO of HubSpot. So I had some really, marketing technology happened to be pretty cutting edge at the time. And of course, now it's more, proliferated. And so, but like Mutiny is a conversion technology. There's other Intellimise. There's other technologies that just really specialize. And so I just have this curious mind in my team. I said, let's experiment. If it works, we'll do more. We'll go from pilot to program. If it doesn't work, let's not do it anymore. And when ChatGPT really exploded, like I will tell you, last summer I asked my whole team to try. We tried fit. We've now 15 different tools that help us with related to Gen AI. So obviously ChatGPT's and things like that, content's sort of a home run. But you can improve web pages, you can improve design, you can improve social media, you can write the answers for a PR interview. I mean, there's so many things you can do. And that's really just the mindset. Just adopt the technology that you can with the research. I always say, like, somebody's trying to sell me something. It's like, I don't think I can I don't have anybody to manage this thing, right? You have to be able to use the technology with the staff you have, and you can't just keep stacking on. So we have a senior director on the team of our marketing ops mops, and it's like we may take something out of the stack each year too, right? It's not all additive, because at the end of the day, it's all got to work together as well.
Understood. Understood. And makes sense. So what you do is, rather than, kind of directly bring a new technology to be part of the stack, the idea is to experiment it, figure out in terms of which way and form it works for us, and integrate with the rest of the stack, and what's the value. Amazing. Grant, this has been an amazing discussion. Before the discussion itself, while going through your blogs, I had a feeling that this is going to be probably one of the best podcasts we had, and indeed it was. Thanks for sharing sharing your insights with us, Grant. I'm sure the audience would love to hear from you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And listen, I love marketing. It's the best time ever being marketing for your audience. Keep striving, keep learning, keep growing, and have some fun along the way. That's why we pick marketing.